Early in March 2021, Greg told All of Kinda Funny to turn on their cameras so they could record a special message for WWE superstar Xavier Woods. It turns out, Greg lied.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kinda Funny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller. Alongside, for the first time in quarantine, the entire Kinda Funny crew. We'll start with the Texas Street Latino Heat, clicking heads and ripping them to shreds. The Globetrotting, headshot, nitro rifle from Twitch.tv, Andy Cortez. He's
Pleasure
the future
to be here,
class.
Greg.
There's no time for that. There's the future class of video games blessing, Eddie Oye Jr.
Hey, everyone.
There is, of course, Christmas in March, Joey Noel.
Hello.
The glue, Kevin Coelho.
I brought Cecil.
The producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Kev brought Cecil.
Who framed Roger Porconi?
Hi.
I didn't have an intro for you. I just made that one up. He's the boss baby, sad boy, Barrett Courtney.
I like Roger's hat.
The master of hype, Snowbike Mike.
What up?
The coolest dude in the room and the #1 baby blues in San Francisco, Cool Greg. And of course, he's Forbes 30 under 30, a.k.a. the second best baby blues in San Francisco, a.k.a. the verified one, at Tim Gettys.
Let Tim host.
We are here for a very special occasion. Tim, what is it?
We are celebrating the 6th anniversary of Austin Creed's Up, Up, Down, Down. Let's get hype, everyone. Woo!
Yay!
You couldn't be more wrong. That was the lie I told all of you to get your cameras on. I'm here to tell you that Jen's pregnant and I'm going to be a father.
What?
Dude.
That's awesome.
I didn't, it's, you know.
He's lying.
You have a piece of shit, Miller.
I figured I
Holy
wanted it
God.
on camera and I wanted you all here because, of course, you're my family. And so, there's a lot happening, obviously, that all the appointments I've been leaving for are not for us moving. There's a lot of other things I've been doing. And obviously, I don't like lying to you or even fibbing a little bit about it, other than the things for content
I woke
like
up for this?
Yeah, you woke up for this, Andy. I'm sorry. So yeah. The idea was I figure so for right now in our time, as we record this on March 12th, 2021, Jen is 10 weeks along. And so if you know nothing about it, like I don't know anything about it, we're still in the first trimester. That'll end. And usually at the end of the first trimester is when they're like, okay, you're okay to tell people. So 12 weeks. However, like I said, I wanted to tell you guys ahead of other thing. Right now, it's my parents and Poe, and now all of you that know from this. Because again, like I said, you're my family. And obviously it's been a hard year not being with you and not being able to share things with you. Sorry. Fuck Kevin. Anyways, back to I gotta clear it. I gotta clear the mechanism sometimes, Kevin.
Sorry,
What do
Kevin,
you
you gotta
mean?
be
Like, isn't that what we have Barrett for?
You can take it, Kevin. I know
that's
you
why
can
you're
take
here.
it. And so, we're far from out of the woods right now. And so we're not going to go public and do the big thing about it. But I also didn't want to not be able to tell you about it. And so my thought process was, of course, tell you guys now on camera, record it, save it. And then when we do go public, this can transition into a Kinda Funny podcast that has Jen on it to talk about the journey we're both taking right now. But yeah, crazy, exciting times right now. And I wanted to share with you.
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh!
I love you, dude.
Congratulations,
Congrats.
man. I love
This is
you.
I love
fucking
you guys.
awesome.
So crazy.
Congratulations to both of you.
Congratulations.
That's bananas.
Thank you. All right, so let's get to the real show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the real Kinda Funny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 under 30, a.k.a. second best baby in San Francisco, a.k.a. the engaged one at Tim Gettys.
First off, you got me again. I'm crying again. But second off, why is Nick so big?
I don't know. He wasn't big a minute ago.
The large man on your screen is the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Oh, man. You know, it's Friday. And,
How much you got in the tank right now, Nick? When we were on the stream for Pokemon Snap earlier, and I was like, yeah, and then we got the podcast. You're like, we sure do. Gonna be a long day. I was like, damn, dude.
The Friday podcast is always a special thing to look forward to because it's just got that fun, anything can happen energy to it.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 100% it. Of course, he's the Hispanic heartthrob, Texas Street Latino Heat, clicking heads and ripping them to shreds. The Globetrotting, headshotting from Twitch.tv, Andy Cortez.
Look at this photo of you all that I'm editing
We
for.
can't see it.
Well, yeah, they can't see it, but like it's gonna be the thumbnail. It's just a beautiful photo. It's just life right here. It's life.
That's
you know?
life right there.
Like,
It might be one of the best photos you've ever taken, and like both of you. That's the. I guess all three of you. That is the best photo of the camp.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys look utterly. I mean, you look great right now too. But like
Sure.
that picture, like that needs to be framed, put up somewhere, a museum.
Of course, it'll go in a
I'll put
museum.
it back there.
Oh, thank you.
Oh
No,
my
thank
god, that
you.
would be sweet.
And then, of course, let me check my notes here. She's the co-founder of Pop Agenda, the love of my life, and the mother to my child now, Geneviève Saint-Onge Miller.
Small Greg.
Yeah.
Greg. Welcome to the show,
Greg.
Jake.
Yeah,
It's been a while since you were on the Kind of Funny podcast.
I know. Was the last time it was my birthday. We have cool friends.
Yeah.
Episode. Yeah. And look what happened.
You're here. All it took was a quarantine, ladies and gentlemen.
But that's what happens when video game people can't travel anymore. Which is just like
Lots
you
of
know.
boredom. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sex left.
bang it home.
Jen, that's the thing.
I do love that this is definitive proof that you had sex. Though.
I was
It's
gonna
like,
say,
you
Nick,
know,
I had sex. It was great.
Couldn't wait.
It's awesome.
It was like
pretty
It was.
cool.
It was
4 years.
everything Nick said it would be.
I was gonna say that, like, how long did he get back to Avengers? Like, was it immediate or was it during? You know, I don't know.
Babe, let me get this hive.
just a load time, you know. Just,
All right, but these were PS4 load times
Well,
for
yeah,
Avengers.
PS4,
all right?
PS5, that's a
PS4
good
load
question.
time for Avengers, everybody. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have quite the show for you. Hopefully you cried in the beginning already. Let me tell you first, though, of course, this is the Kind of Funny podcast. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each coming to talk about whatever they want to talk about going on in their lives. Today, it's the fact that Jen and I are having a child. If you like that, you can head to patreon.com/kindafunny, where, of course, you can toss us a few bucks. You, of course, can get your questions read on the show. You can watch the show live, just like Joshy G is, Anakin is, Matthew Lewis is, Dolphin Corn is. The chat, of course, going crazy right now. Thank you all so much for your support today, which we'll talk about in a second. Of course, if you aren't watching live on patreon.com/kindafunny, there's still other reasons to go to patreon.com/kindafunny. You can get the show ad-free. You can get it with the exclusive post show we do each and every episode. And of course, you can support the
A new
beast that
member.
is Kind of Funny.
New member, yeah.
Who's a new member?
are you
The
calling
baby.
our child?
You saying
the
my kid's
beast?
already a new member? Or they,
Well, just like
There's a lot to unpack there. Andy's calling him the
There's-
member. Greg, did you refer to the child as the Beast? Is that what we're calling the
no,
child
the
now?
beast
Wait,
that is
wait,
kind
wait,
of
can we-
funny, I
Oh,
said.
the
Or that's what I
Beast that
meant
is kind
to
of funny.
say.
Okay.
No,
I was
let's
like,
double
I
down.
don't-
Let's
I don't
double
know,
down.
Uncle-
Great
no, no.
nickname for him, the Beast.
I don't
I
know.
love it.
Uncle Nick can get
You like that?
behind
You
the
gonna
Beast
we're,
just yet.
we're calling the kid the beast?
Yeah.
Earlier
Alright,
today,
cool,
we were
yeah.
talking about names, and obviously, like I always try to inception in, like, regardless of anything, just name the kid Nick. I don't care. And Kevin's
Nick
like,
Miller.
well,
Boy works for girl.
exactly.
Jen
works
brought
for
it up.
everything.
Jen did bring it up. Is like, what about Nick as a name? And I was like, the problem with Nick Miller isn't anything to do with Nick Scarpino. I'd be honored, you know what I
Hi,
mean? Up until
Nick Miller. That's a guy I trust.
Nick Miller was
You
on
tell
the
me you don't want to
was
give
on
that guy
New
money.
Girl. New Girl. I don't want New Girl references. This kid's
Okay, first
graduating
off-
high school and they're like, Nick
Yeah.
Miller. And
That's what they're gonna do.
everybody in the auditorium's like, hey, that's the guy from New Girl. I don't want
That wildly successful show that went off the air after 3 seasons or whatever it was. Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna be like that.
That's why you should go for Walter White. That's what I say.
Walter
White.
White. You want the kid named after
A better show.
a Breaking Bad character.
Award-winning show.
What if it was just Heisenberg Miller? You know, what if we did that?
That sounds pretty
Heisenberg.
cool,
First
actually.
off, no, because then every Starbucks employee is gonna hate him. I'm sorry, what? What? I can't spell.
Yeah.
Can I call
His
you
nickname
Hi?
can be Henny.
Yeah, it'd be the
Penny?
Berg.
Oh, Cool Greg would like
The-
that. He'd like that a lot.
Hennessy. That's
Andy,
pretty down,
Andy.
actually.
Andy, this kid Heisenberg, right? Heisenberg is out there. He's a basketball superstar
Yeah,
for
bitch.
The San Francisco high school. Wait, where'd you go? Lowell. He's a Lowell basketball high school superstar, right, Andy? But his name's Heisenberg, right? Think about all the cool signs we could have out there. Like, you can't melt this, Berg.
Get real
know what I
high with Berg.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, let's go with a different name, probably. Now that I think of it.
Wait, Greg.
Here's
So
what
you've
wait.
been on streams, you've been tweeting stuff, you've been doing stuff. I want facts. What are the
Sure.
facts that you know that you want to share in terms of where you guys are at with baby names, or you guys are at with gender, or all that stuff?
Where was the room? Like, what area?
Sure,
How'd it
sure,
smell?
sure. Yeah,
Ooh.
it was musty, Tim. Let me tell you.
Oh,
What? So yeah, week 17 now.
Yeah, as
Right.
of yesterday.
Yeah, targeting
And, like,
October 7th.
Final year of
Yeah.
the NFL season. Final week.
Yeah, the week count thing has always been weird to me, but when you're in it, it makes sense because every like week to week, it's so different. Like I think it just grew fingerprints this week.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
It's as big
too
as an
bad.
onion. It's an
Because up
onion.
until this
It's
point, it
big as
could have
an
robbed
onion.
anything and gotten away with it.
Small as a pumpkin.
Yeah, oh no, trust me.
It's-
Oh, dude, is there gonna be some Dynamite Watto content from it? Like, think about like how annoying I am to Jen on a daily basis. Now imagine that I have a new kid that's a prop that I can use Ghostbusters and Superman and Portillo's stuff and Watto stuff in
I'm just
Halloween
throwing
times.
out, what if you decide, I mean, there's middle names also, and Watto would be a great middle name. Nick
I don't know.
Oh,
Watto,
Watto
Miller.
Miller.
That's
If
pretty
you-
cool.
And that would definitely distract from the new girl connection I'm so worried about. Andy Cortez from kindoffunny.com. I saw your hand go up there.
I just I want to let you in on where my brain is at
Sure,
this point in
sure.
the week and the last 2 nights of like 3 hours, like 5 hours combined of sleep, just not sleeping. When Jen said going by the whole week to week thing is a little weird, and I was like, she's not American. They use different.
When I
time.
was like, they must not count weeks in Canada.
They do it by tri-weeks. They break the week
I was
into
like,
3
yeah,
parts,
metric, the
but
whole
yeah.
metric system thing. That's what it is.
So
I
yeah,
wanna-
week 17.
yeah.
We're
Great.
prepared to confirm that it is a boy. We know that.
An actual small Greg.
A small Greg. That is where
Yeah.
we're at right now with it. Yeah. Names we don't want to go into. We have a front runner. We have contenders, but it is
Nick,
very much that we want to meet them.
Now,
make
here,
sure we got it right.
Can I interject real quick because I do want to before I forget. Kevin and I were talking about names earlier today, and I said name your child Nick. Of course, as I always do. I want someone to name the kid Nick because it's egotistical if I ever have a child
Sure.
named Nick. It's like what can you do? And also because there can't be
junior.
there-
It's just
there-
junior.
No, there can't be
It's not
two.
weird.
Andy, there
What
can't
are
be
you
two
gonna
Nicks.
do?
There will never be another Nick hired at Kind of Funny either.
There is another Nick though right now. Another
What?
Nick
Wait,
Scarpino.
what?
No, I was saying there's another Nick Scarpino right now.
Oh.
Oh yeah, but he doesn't work with us. Anyway,
Yes,
long story
yes.
short, here's what we go. Here's how the conversation goes with Kevin. I think someone wants to name their kid Nick. Kevin's like, I don't give a shit what my kid's name. I'm just gonna call him whatever I want.
Paul.
So Paula apparently will name the child. Kevin will will rename the child at will, whatever he wants to call him.
100%.
Okay.
That is the thing.
Kevin move.
That's a
It,
Kevin.
it definitely sounds like a Kevin move. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
But
I
are
mean,
we
he's gonna
talking
win.
like regular first names or just random words or like nicknames?
Could be random.
I'm thinking gender neutral, like Dune.
Tree.
Minivan.
Dune? You think Dune?
Directed by Denis Villeneuve.
Middle name
That's the
directed by
middle
Denny
name.
Villeneuve. Second middle name starring Timothée Chalamet.
During Joey's stream today of Pokemon Snap, somebody was in there. I saw saying like Joey's a great name, and it can go girl or boy. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's an interesting one to keep.
Joey
Yeah,
is a
but
great name.
then you get the problem, right? Where back in the day, remember Greg? You'll remember this. Dingo stole my baby. Kangaroos. Joey. That's the
Joey's.
problem.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Baby
yeah,
Joey's.
totally.
Problem.
If this boy, if he ever goes over to Australia and they're like, there's a Joey on
you're
the
a
loose,
Joey.
he's gonna be like, yeah, it's me, and then he gets attacked by a kangaroo.
Exactly.
You heard it once, you heard it 1,000 times. If people
Pest
over there in
control comes
Australia
after
getting
him.
This
killed
is
that
really
way,
this
that's
is
not good.
this is an aspect of child
put 'em down.
rearing that I've never actually considered, and now it's giving me anxiety. You have to pick a name that can't be made fun of. The kids can't
Yeah.
figure out a quick, easy. Of course, kids. Monsters, in general.
We've talked
so
about
they're
this though.
gonna
Like
be-
the kids are
they're
gonna find
be
a way no
little
matter
shitheads
what,
anyway.
right?
Yeah,
when I
that's
was
true.
Greg the Peg, that's what they called me. That's what they could come up with. Just
Greg
call me
the Peg.
Yeah,
Kids
they
are
weren't
dumb.
creative, and nobody. And you might be like, oh, like pegging? No, but they didn't know what they were fucking
There was
saying.
no Gregory Peck.
Peg leg.
names,
Yeah, exactly. Tim Gettys from kindoffunny.com. I saw your hand go up.
I was gonna say this is a big thing because this is a little known fact. Gia's name is actually Gabriella, and growing up, it was Gabby. But her parents like we need to stop this because you talk way too fucking much. So
Perfect.
there's no way we can let you go to school because these kids are going to be vicious. So then eventually it turned into Gia. Origin
makes
tales.
sense. And then Big G.
Big G.
That's what we call her name. Of course, if you don't want to support us on patreon.com/kindoffunny, you can go to youtube.com/kindoffunny. You can go to podcast services around the globe twice a week to get episodes where we have us goofing around, and then of course bringing in cool guests like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson or Jack Quaid next week, which is very interesting from the boys.
Or Jen.
Me.
Well, this isn't a guest episode. I can't. This is just Jen
Oh.
being.
Wow.
Jen's just, you're part of the family. You're kind of funny. You're carrying the air. Like what do you?
The air, I love it.
Now, Jen, don't get it twisted. There will be some people that say, "I fucking support this company because I want to listen to the main 4 people. Fuck anybody else who steps on this show." Like,
Listen,
there
we
will-
already had a guest episode this week. I know. Do we really need another? I'm excited they're gonna have kids, but come on, like, they need to do it this way. So, Before we get into any more, let me give you some housekeeping. Remember, Invincible has wrapped up its first season, and all of our Invincible reacts are up on youtube.com/kindafunny. And of course, the Kinda Funny Reacts podcast channel, wherever you get your podcast of choice. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Willie D. Billums, Julian the Gluten-Free Gamer, Mick, aka @DeNanobiologist, DJ Kento, Steve Powers, Kieran O'Donnell, and Tom Bach. Today we're brought to you by MeUndies, but I'll tell you more about that later. For now, Jen, you're pregnant.
Man, I don't know what to do when you're.
I told you, like, there was a long conversation if she should come down or if we should do five boxes and she stays in her office.
I don't know. You just go. Your brain.
He's done. I think
what I
he's
do.
done. I can't remember because
Okay.
sometimes the rigmarole comes back 55 minutes.
No, that's
and-
it. We're done with the rigmarole. Now we're here.
Okay.
Now we're just
But I think he's
podcasting.
done. Now we can just,
Eventually,
now
I'll
we can just
segue to
flow.
ads. That's it.
Okay, where do you want to
That's fine.
start?
How's it feel to be pregnant?
Man, my
Here we go.
Don't try to censor it. Just give them the truth.
my tits are huge.
Hell yeah, baby.
And let me tell you, they are spectacular.
As someone who was born with no chest and had no chest through the age of 33, it's very annoying. I don't know how to sleep. I don't know how to manage knockers. Like I.
It's a
Well,
different
it's-
person. You look
it's-
in the mirror, you're like, who is this? So,
Yeah, exactly. She
yeah.
can't manage
Jen,
them because,
Jen,
like,
you just go
obviously
on
my
your-
hand's reaching in at all times.
Yeah.
Jenny, you
I will
just
also-
sleep on your side. It's not that bad.
No, I'm a side sleeper already.
Kevin's
but like,
giving
They're
you
like
advice.
lumping into each
they're
other.
they're
Andy
like,
got it. Andy got it.
I didn't pick it up. That's really good, Kevin. That's a really good one.
Also,
I do also want to point out that Jen referred to them as knockers, which is a very, very, I think, 1989
I haven't heard
nomenclature
that
for them.
since, like,
That's great.
Maybe
It's like
Chris Farley said it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's a Tom Hanks in Bachelor Party talking about some knockers.
Nice knockers.
She is Greg Miller's wife. Like,
Yes.
the slappers and knockers.
slapper.
It's a smacker, all right.
Oh,
Don't get in the
smackers,
way.
excuse me,
Yeah,
excuse
smacker.
Yeah,
me.
smack
Hold on,
Bruce.
Kevin, you have something to say that I think is very important.
Oh, just in the
Yes.
chat, Dale Sapwell says again, Hurricane is a name you can't mock. Pretty solid.
Hurricane Miller.
Hurricane Miller.
That kid has to be a boxer, though.
Hurricane Miller.
Coolest name ever.
I think
No,
Storm
like Kane?
is like a cooler name.
We came
Swarm
up
Miller?
with a couple other ones on the stream today also. I was just going to throw it out. Video Miller. Vid Miller.
Oh my god.
Okay.
It
okay.
sounds French.
Second
it sounds
one.
French.
You
Does
have
it?
your first one is Vin.
Video.
You have a second kid, Diesel. Then together,
Oh, fucking shit.
I like where your head's at.
Vin
Diesel,
Diesel.
Vin.
Diesel.
And when they're together, you call them Too Fast, Too Furious.
What about Hideo?
Shoe.
Hideo's cool.
Shuhei. Yeah, exactly right.
Shoe.
Good
Baby
stuff
shoe.
here. Good stuff here.
Nick
Sorry, Jen,
Shuhei
back
Miller.
to you.
How did like breaking the news to your family go? What was that? like?
I definitely called my mom first, because, and we're gonna get like really sad really fast. There's not a single woman in my circles that hasn't had a miscarriage. So like
no.
the second you find out about a pregnancy, to me, it was like really deeply seated like a fear of
Sure,
I
yeah.
can't
Mhm.
get excited. And my mom's a nurse and she's had like obviously 3 kids and then multiple miscarriages. So I was like, here's the thing that's happening and I'm freaking out because Greg and I, the full story is this isn't a pandemic baby. Like we've been trying for 2 years almost now. And because we were struggling after I think like 13 months or
Yeah,
so, we went
so-
to see a fertility clinic.
Yeah, it was the thing, we pulled the goalie and it was like, all right, let's go. And then there was like that moment of like the way it's interesting because like, none of us, I don't know, I shouldn't speak for you guys.
Tim, do
I
you
knew
understand that
nothing.
hocky reference first off?
Yeah, well, of course. Come on, we've all,
No, Paul, that's soccer.
we don't
That's for
understand
sure soccer.
icing,
Come
but
on,
pulling
guys.
the goalie, that's
I want to
easy
be clear to you, Andy. I do not understand the reference in terms of sports. I understand it in terms of sex.
Okay.
I know what it means, but I don't know why they would pull the goalie.
Oh, you get an
in
extra man
sports.
on the ice then. You get an extra
Yeah.
man on the ice.
An extra-
Okay,
an
extra
extra
person
person
to
try to
cool,
score
cool,
the
offensive
goal.
unit.
Yeah,
Universe.
it's usually a last ditch effort out there to try to get a
Gotcha.
goal. Anyways, though, so yeah, we pulled the goalie.
But it's dangerous because you might get pregnant in hockey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
once the goalie's removed in an
Anyone
NHL game, anybody
Anyone
can get
can
pregnant in
get-
the arena.
Anyone can cook.
But like
Anyway.
as for me, like as someone who's been on birth control for 20 years, almost 19 years, like, and it's drilled into you. If you have sex, you're gonna get pregnant. You're gonna
Yeah.
ruin your life.
Yeah.
And so the second you stop any kind of birth control, it's just like the fear of God of like, I know I love Greg and I know I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with him, but I can't get pregnant. So there were
Well,
like,
I mean, we pulled the goalie, and I wasn't allowed to touch her for like a month and a half. She was like in still.
no, we just weren't finishing the deeds.
Fair enough. You know what I mean?
In
You know
the
what I mean?
wrong place.
Wait, sorry.
Mhm.
What? I'm missing this. Why?
Because
It's just scary. It's just so scary. Like the concept of living your whole life being told that you shouldn't get pregnant, and then suddenly you're like, I guess I'm gonna try, and you're just not. No one sits down with you as a woman most of the time to be like, here's what's gonna happen when you get pregnant, and how it's going to massively medically affect your day-to-day life. And so it's just you're diving in blind kind of process. So it took me a couple weeks to adjust to the thought of, and then we started actively trying for multiple months.
Oh, that must have been tough, Greg. I'm sorry.
it was my cross to bear, Nick, as they say.
And then like at some point too, you get to the point where it's like, all right, I have the app, I have the timing, yes, I'm ovulating, let's go. Like it's very mechanical and you're like, great, cool. It removes like a lot of the spontaneity.
Spontaneity. Yeah.
There it is. The French pronunciation's coming out.
Yeah, it's what time is it? It's usually when my
Yeah,
English leaves my body.
3:43. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, that was the thing of like, yeah. So then it became this, regimented thing, and all right, cool, it's not happening. And then why isn't it happening?
Yeah.
But they had told us specifically, like, or your doctor had told you specifically that once you go off the pill, you have to wait at least 12 months before you go to a fertility clinic, because obviously
your body adjusts and stuff. So they said if nothing happens within like 12, 13 months, come back to see us. And so nothing worked, even though we were diligently trying. And when we went to the fertility clinic, like it's in San Francisco, it's a place called Kind Body. It's like one of many fertility assistance clinics. And it's like you just start with a bunch of conception assessment tests and blood work. And here's the state of things, like in terms of, for me, how many eggs do I have left? Because I'm 33 years old. And when you turn 35, you turn a corner when they call it like geriatric pregnancy, like you're an old fucking person.
Yeah.
So it's like there's like this medical line in the sand there of like, if you get pregnant after 35, there's a bunch of risks associated with that, like genetic risks and also just health risks for you as a person. And so I had a really low amount of eggs left, and then they also did Greg's profile, and that's when
Here's where I'll start with, because
Greg takes over.
This has been a kind of funny podcast topic I've wanted to have for a long time, and I don't know, and I'm
Jerking
not
off
asking for
into
any.
a cup.
It's so difficult. God, is it? I've been practicing for this my entire life.
Yeah,
Cut
bro.
to me at some SF hospital. It's in the middle of COVID. I'm in basically just a public-private bathroom. You know what I mean? It's not like in
Yeah.
the movies, that fucking Billy Crystal movie where they had the porno movies. Nothing like that, Nick.
Yeah, no,
it's
they
me
go-
hunched over a sink trying
got
to
one
get
of those-
fucking hard, and I'm like, I got a little cup, and like trying not to. They're like, don't touch the inside. I'm like, how the
Stop,
fuck?
please.
Did
We
they
don't
have
need
one of
this
those-
much detail.
Oh no, we're all in and
Hunched over
honest,
a
guys.
sink.
This is the goddamn kind of funny podcast.
This is life, man. It's life.
Did they have one of those little pull strings in case you pass out, like you're reaching grab it?
I'm having an emergency.
and
No,
like the
but-
whole time it's also COVID. So
Yeah.
like we
So
just
you're in a mask too, asphyxiating, and you're like, well, this is
Totally.
helping. This is helping a little bit.
And like there was the first one before we went to Kind Body, where it was like trying to get a profile through my general practitioner or whatever, was like cool, like, oh no, it was Kind Body the first time we did it, right? It doesn't matter. Where they're like, all right, cool, like you don't do it on the premises here, you have to do it at home and then bring it here. But
they
there's
give
like
you a little gift bag.
there's like a time limit and all this shit. So like it's like I'm trying to and I was like doing it during a work day too, where I like, all right, cool, I'm off the show here, so I'll transition from making the yuck yucks to making some yuck yuck over here, if you know what I'm saying. But I'm like, you know what I mean?
I'd like my sandwich minus the yuck yuck, please. Thank you.
And so like it was just like the first time I did it and came back, Jen was like, how was that? And I was like, it was not good.
Terrible.
Like I feel like I was in my own head. I don't feel like I gave him enough to go on. You know what I mean? Like I'm
to be fair, they need very little, like very, very
yeah,
little.
but like I ended up doing it like 3 times, I think, right?
Yeah.
And like one was with the general practitioner, and then 2 were with Kind Body.
Yeah.
And it was.
That sounds like the easiest thing in the world, Greg, to be honest with you.
I know. Oh, I know it does, Andy. I know it does. You know
I
what I mean?
I can crank 4 out right now. Like,
Andy's like bringing up the cups right now. Like, I just did. How hard is this? What are you talking about? Standing desk privileges. But the problem was, that like, when they came back, especially through the fertility clinic, it was my worst fears realized, which were, I mean, so many people today have reached out in a very positive way of like, this is so great that you're going to be a dad and you're doing this. I've listened to you my entire life. I remember on Game Over Greggy, on Podcast Beyond, on Knockin' Boots, you being like, I don't want kids, I don't want kids, I don't want kids, right? And of course, I always talk about it like that changed for me on my first date with Jen, which I know sounds so cliched and goofy, but I've talked about it before of like sitting there and like having that feeling of like, wow, this is different. And when Jen said, yeah, I think I want 1 or 2 kids, me inside my head going, okay. And having to really wrestle with that for a while of okay, really? And like never questioning it, never being against it, totally being like, that's how this is going to go, and coming to that realization that it's never a knock against any of my former partners, but it was just that it wasn't that I didn't want kids, or even when I was single, right? It's not that I didn't want kids, I just didn't want them in that situation. Like that wasn't the right place for a child, whereas this was so different for me. And
likewise, like I didn't want to have kids until I turned maybe like 28.
Sure.
So because you're not mature enough and you're doing so much, like especially us, we were so career driven. I mean, we are career driven still. So
that's the tough thing too, right? You have to have that sweet spot of like living that life together, building that life together, I imagine, and then taking that next step to build out the family. And you want to,
but the issue was that it's awesome to change my mind in 2016, right? When I start dating Jen. But the problem is you rewind to 2012 when I was going in for chemotherapy, and they were very much like, cool, here's the million of other things you need to do, this, that, and the other, and you should go save your sperm. You should go right now and freeze some sperm. And I remember them saying, I was like, no, I'm good. And they're like, no, like there's a chance that this could really fuck you up. It could sterilize you. Like you need to freeze sperm if you ever want to have children. And I was like, I don't want children. And they were like, listen.
They're like, sir, it's $30. And you're like,
see, that was the problem. That was
the
problem. And again, you want to talk about the American healthcare system or whatever you want to get into. But it was the idea that like, cool, insurance won't cover it, and here's how much it would cost per month to do it. And I was like, that's
you're paying rent for your sample.
Yeah.
And I was very much
forever.
like, sorry.
And by the way, this is pre-Kevin. I'm sure Kevin could have set you up with a nice little ice box
Kevin would
Kevin
be storing for me right now. I'm sure. Don't worry about that. You know what I mean? But it was that idea of like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I passed on the
Kevin, which one of this is a fish sauce?
God.
And so, I didn't save it and never had it checked up until, we're struggling to get the kid and have a kid. And, we went and got it checked up. And like, not only, does Jen have fewer eggs than she should at this age? Like, I'm like drastically, no, I'm not sterile, but like, I am like, I forget what it is. Like you're supposed to be 20 million.
You're 0.5.
And I'm supposed to be 20 million and I'm like 6,000.
That was always my fear with watching that one Frasier episode when I was a kid.
Right. Yeah.
I've talked about this before, Jen. The first time that I ever had something come out, I was like, I remember this from that one episode of Frasier where he ran out of sperm as an old man. I'm gonna run out of sperm like as a young kid. I freaked out.
And so like, it was
got over it pretty quick though.
Yeah, I was gonna say never.
Okay? How much sperm have you frozen now, Andy? You just keep doing it like there's like literally an entire freezer at the fucking sperm.
God.
So the status was we walked out of there one day and like they called us after to give us the rundown, and it's like, cool, you got like 2 eggs left and Greg's got 2 sperms, and they were going like this,
slamming into each other, right? Like, and for me it was like. I obviously my cancer doctor saved my life. I'm not saying anything there. My one take, and it could totally be me remembering this as what I was in 2012, but I don't remember them being like, it's for sure going to happen. I remember it being like, it could happen. And then I was like, I'll roll the dice kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas talking to the fertility clinic, like, oh no, you should have. It happened. Like everybody's going to be affected by this. Like your testicles are like super affected by
the chemotherapy.
I always want to say radiation, got hung up on there. And so, it was like, that was a tough day to get that call, and not even the egg part of it, the much as me part of it. And again, not even for me, it wasn't like, cause I remember we got off the phone and I cried, but I didn't like cry. I was just like,
you had to process.
And then I processed by going down and taking out the recycling and coming back in the elevator. That's when I broke down. And that's when I sobbed in the elevator all by myself.
I was not prepared for when he stepped back inside. I was like, oh no, this is happening. Like it just connected together.
Yeah. Well, it was processing, like you say, and I talked about it at the time, right? It wasn't that oh no, I can't have kids,
Yeah.
right? Because I was like, okay, cool, we'll adopt. Okay, we'll get a donor. Okay, well, a million other things. But it was cancer's taking something else
Yeah,
from me.
exactly.
You know what I mean? I always talk about it being my worst fear that it would come back, right? And so here you are. Oh Jesus Christ, 2020,
Almost
right?
10
So yeah,
years.
yeah, nearly 10 years, nearly a decade later, and this thing that I don't even think about that feels like an alternate reality or an alternate history is like still very
Rearing
present
its
in my
ugly
life in a
head,
fucked
yeah.
up
Yeah,
way, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we sat there for a while, and like essentially the takeaway was mathematically or statistically, you cannot conceive naturally. So Greg and I were looking at options of
But now here's where we have. So when we get that thing of like, we went and talked to them, like, here are your options, and like yada
Yeah.
yada yada, and we'll run through them here in a second. But what I love, and Tim, you'll love this more than anybody, of like seeing how we have changed Jen, is that we left the fertility clinic, went to get lunch, and at lunch, like unprompted, all by herself, she's like, we should do a podcast about this. And I was like, one podcast about like what? She's like, no, we should start filming an ongoing like video series about this, because like if we were gonna go through IVF or having
Yeah.
to do anything with kind body, the idea was that we wanted to destigmatize, right?
Yeah,
we
sure.
wanted
but
to like talk
also
about how
just
this
share information, because
course.
you criticize the US healthcare system, but there's a lot of information I learned going through that process, even like that the Canadian healthcare system or sex ed in schools did not cover, because female anatomy apparently is like not an afterthought, but it's not being like dove into very deeply. Like I didn't know that every month you have several follicles in your ovaries, and like one becomes dominant and then that one releases an egg, but all those other follicles are indicators of your fertility or like capacity to generate eggs. And I'm like, cool,
You're
had
blowing
no
my mind
idea.
right now. I have
Yeah,
no
no,
idea
like-
what any of this means.
And like they explain this to you the whole time, that they're like shoving this extremely long ultrasound wands into your vagina.
You lube that thing up beforehand, though. Hopefully,
Yes.
A little. Okay.
I stood up, I spit on it for him, just to get.
Jesus.
What can we have?
So
It's the
much
kind of
of
funny
this.
podcast.
Between
It's
that
not
and you-
egghead science.
So now I have-
juice,
I
man.
have 3 visuals in my head. That, the follicles, and you hunched over us one of those extra long sinks in the badge. Oh, I think it's still limp, but I can't. Okay.
Why?
Kevin, we're not
We're
pulling
getting
punches.
real.
This is a fun,
getting
this is
real.
a
Yeah,
fun
I know,
celebratory
but, like,
episode.
it's
I also
just so
I also just have this visual now of Andy bringing one more of those little tartar sauce packets to the sperm clinic. I'm like, sir, we can't fit any more. You're like, nah, you can get one more.
We don't
I don't
need
want to be
any more.
Frasier. I don't want to be Frasier.
We're good. You can fucking have a whole army of people right now. You're good.
Kevin
So, yeah,
just
we-
keeps slacking me because the chat is popping off today in a way that I've never seen them. And some golden quotes
Why did you say
are
popping off?
Gerardo is cool says, switch it up to your non-dominant hand. Feels like a stranger joins. And then Omega Buster says, wow. So Greg in the bathroom, wearing a mask, beating on his semi.
Damn.
And keep in mind, it was probably the Superman mask and a Mizzou sweatshirt.
Sure.
Oh, Lord. That's the kind of funny doodles if I ever heard of one.
No.
I don't know if we can put that on Instagram though, bro. I think
We go to
they,
Pornhub with it. We've always
there
wanted
you
to
go.
put content on
Ah,
Pornhub. This is
so
the one,
badly.
you know?
So bad.
So yeah, we went and had this meeting with them where it was like, cool, like
Here's your options. There's like IUI, which is essentially they fertilize the egg outside, like in the lab, and they hatch it, and then they put it back in you. But you have to go through the whole process of pumping yourself up with hormones for several weeks until your egg comes out, and like you have to go through a surgical procedure to harvest it, and like you're under anesthesia, and like it's a whole ordeal. So the whole process was definitely daunting, but we were ready to do it. Like we just looked at the odds with the doctors, and they were very frank about it. They were like, even if you did IUI, like the success rate is so low. And by the way, it's like $2,000 per round. So it's not.
Yeah, it gets
and that's-
really expensive.
It gets really expensive really fast.
And I
so
don't
they
think
were like-
insurance covers any of it, right? Because it's kind of considered
No,
elective.
it's like it's
elective, yeah.
honestly, it's like a luxury to be able to do that too. It's this extreme privilege to be able to leverage science to your benefit to conceive children when there's so many children out there that need to be adopted and
course.
could use families, right?
Yeah.
And so, but they were like, if you want to optimize, because you're also like my eggs were still good in quality, but because of my age, like it was getting dicey. So they're like, you have 2 years to complete this. And every cycle is contingent on your menstrual cycle. So it's a month every time. You know, like you can't accelerate the process. It has to follow the flow of your body. And so like the clock is ticking. So they were like, IVF for sure is the best way to go because it's the most confident we can be about it. No, so I mixed up IUI. IUI is just when they turkey baste you with your sample.
Yeah.
And Greg's sample was not good enough to do that. So they were they said,
But it was long enough, Greg. It just wasn't. It was good.
Okay,
enough.
it would
Just
get
wasn't-
there.
yeah.
Yeah. It's just like I don't know what to do.
It wasn't. It
You're
wasn't
reaching the end of the
distance
tunnel,
thing.
bro. It's just you don't know
Yeah.
what direction to go after that.
Yeah.
so we were like, okay, we could try IUI.
They were basically like IUI is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like and money. They were
Go IVF,
they were like
yeah.
do IVF, but the problem with IVF is it's the other way around. Like we were talking about fertilize the egg, put it in there.
Yeah.
But it's also then me, sadly jerking off in cups, having such low sperm count that I have to do it multiple times to get up to the number that they need to go do it with.
I
Yeah,
do
I'm
want
sorry.
to throw this out there, Greg, as a person who's I want to say like an authority on this subject. You can watch porn on your phone in the bathroom. I think people would have been okay with that.
Nick, do you think for a second
Greg
I
brought his
wasn't?
book in there.
I was gonna say, do you guys think for a second I wasn't sitting there reading it? I'm reading it on my phone. I'm
Literotica.
looking at my literotica. I'm enjoying it. I'm trying. But it's again, Kevin,
your phone in your left hand.
Kevin, Kevin,
Just
I
scrolling.
picture, yeah,
getting
no,
text.
Nick. He's like doing the pinch to zoom thing. He's like,
To the
he
word,
caresses
to
her
the word.
vulva. He presses the vulva.
Oh, scientific terms
God.
turn me
Oh
on.
my
So
God.
it's IUI and IVF, right?
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
IUI, you're saying it's like $2,000, but the IVF is way more.
It's it included their own plan included 2 rounds and it was $40,000. Yeah, so it's an immense
Damn.
privilege to be able to be like, yep, this is an option we're gonna consider, but then also like financially, it's gonna sidetrack us entirely. So it's a
Oh,
thing
yeah.
to consider.
No,
There's a
For-
lot of
Patreon.
proton packs.
It's a lot of proton packs.
I mean,
Yeah.
we make fun of the proton packs. We live in a very normal life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, yeah, for sure, that was like not a tough pill to swallow because we wanted to happen. And then of course there's a time clicking, yada yada yada. It was like, I'm not saying we were like, oh, but it was like, oh, of like shit, fuck, like
Yeah.
coming up with that money.
And also there is no guarantee that it's gonna work.
That's the other thing too. And they're like, usually it doesn't work on the
Yeah.
first phase. That's why they're doing it in 40. And it's like, where are we gonna come up with the money? What would it do to savings? What does it do to us long run? What does
Yeah.
it do? Like, there's so many like dominoes there to how that would
Exactly.
actually affect like our life.
But we were committed to the idea because I wanted to experience. It's a very selfish thing that I couldn't go into a public space and defend because it's such a personal decision. But I wanted to experience pregnancy, and
I don't think
knew,
that's selfish. I mean, I know, I get it, but I mean, from my perspective, I think that's a wonderful, beautiful
Yeah.
part of life that, you know, if you want that, I think you should absolutely have that. I don't-
Sure, but also
yeah.
the planet is dying and like people need families out there. So I was like I'm experiencing a lot of guilt in regards to that.
That's
Yeah.
true. Unmistakable.
But have you seen him? Like all I wanted was a small version of him.
Jen, this is what I keep saying. This is what I keep saying with Dee. We joke around, obviously, because we're not having kids. But I keep telling her, I'm like, let's just have one because not me. Her dad is like 6'3". I'm like, it would be the first tall Scarpino. But of
Holy
course, with my luck,
shit.
it would come out smaller than me, and then I'd be like, well, that's kind of a bonus too because then I'd be taller than him for the rest of his life,
Yeah,
and I'd be like,
talk
what up,
shit.
what up? Yeah, I'm fucking talking shit to him.
So yeah, we started moving,
her. Either way.
you know, through what the financials of that
Yeah.
would look like if we could do it,
Yeah.
how we could do it. Do
And
we
when.
need to ask for help, like stuff like that.
Because we were like, we're about to move, and that has a cost associated to it. So, and it's also stressful. And guess what? When you're trying to conceive, you can't fucking be stressed out because it doesn't help. So we were like, let's wait until after we've moved. And we were, I ran the cost of the injections past the insurance company, and they were like, we don't cover any of this. Good luck. Goodbye. Because again, it's a luxury, right? And so we were like, okay, well, we have all the information. We know how much I think it was something like $16,000 worth of medication. And it's injections that you have to do. I forget at which frequency, but Greg would have been stabbing me in the butt like every day for weeks.
With a needle.
Again, yeah.
Okay.
Good job, Nick. All right there. Yeah.
But
Good Friday
mentally,
energy.
I was prepared for the process, right? So we were just waiting to get through the move, and then
And they were like too, like, you know, this is the cycle's coming up now. So
Yeah.
like if you like, you know, still try or whatever,
Yeah.
keep trying if you
Yeah.
can or whatever.
because they were like, we will never advise you not to stop trying because there's still always the off chance that it works. And then they said that, and 2 weeks later, my cycle's always been on the dot, like Tuesdays, 2:42 p.m. It's never changed. It lasts, I forget, 4 days. It's a 28-day cycle, so yeah, that about checks out. And I was late, so I was like, this has never happened in 20 years of being a person with a period. And so cautiously excited, I was like, we have to wait it out, because you take one test, you have to wait, and then you take another one, and if you have 2 positives, then you go in for 1 round of blood work to confirm it, and then 48 hours later you return for the second round of blood work to confirm it. And then it was just like this process of like, I don't want to be excited.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the entire first
Yeah.
trimester, but yeah, the short version was that after the blood test, we did it.
Yeah,
we
we
did it naturally. Thank
Nice.
God, didn't have to go into like
Yeah.
massive debt and do all these different things to try to make it happen. Yeah,
There you go.
but like there was almost like, you know, there's always, oh, maybe I want 1 kid, maybe I want 2 kid thing from Jen, and she'd always joked like, what if we just did twins and got out of the way? Ha 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 ha. She did the first test with the doctor that confirmed she was pregnant. Like, all right, come back, in 48 hours for the next one. We went and did that, and then they called the next day, and we were on the phone on speaker. I'll never forget it, in the bedroom. And Jen was talking. She's like, hi, Greg here, hi. And the doctor's like, yeah, this came back, and I forget what the number is and what even reading they're looking at anymore.
It's
but
like, it was like 600, and
she's
it's
like,
supposed
usually
to double.
Yeah, she's like, usually in the 48-hour period from between blood work, this should double, but this is quadrupled. And so she goes, do you have a history of
count?
Do you have exactly? Do you have a history of twins in your family, Jen?
And then
Jen just sat there dead eye.
I have an accent. She has an accent, and so my brain, I only understood the word history. So I'm like, okay, medical history. She has a question about my family, and then I look at Greg. Like, she repeats again, and
Greg's
I look at Greg.
white as a ghost.
And I'm like, I have no idea what she just. My brain is not computing the second part of the sentence. And
so I was like, she's asking if you have twins in your family.
And I was like, I don't think so. Like, I really don't know. And then for 2 weeks, we sat with that information.
Of like, yeah, because they were like, we won't know till the ultrasound or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God, are we about, like, is it about to have gone from, sorry, you can't get pregnant. Okay, you can. And then it's all of a sudden it's like full
10
blown.
of
Now
them.
you have 2 kids. Exactly, right? So yeah, it wasn't. It still is just the one boy. We have the one boy.
One boy.
Yeah.
But it was a roller coaster. And then the funny part is she completely forgot about telling us this information. And when we spoke to her again, she was like, why are you so nervous to get the ultrasound? And I was like, well, you told us that possibly it could be twins. And I don't know if we're prepared for that, because we do not have like family nearby or like a ongoing. I mean, we have you guys as a support system, but I would not anticipate
I'll
take one of
Andy to come over.
Let Nick race the boy. Great when you're in the
2
live
months old,
chat.
like little flaming hot fries. Like,
Dan in the chat says Greg and Jen plus 10. That would be the TV show for
that'd
sure.
be so
That would be
tough.
the TV show.
One's enough, man. It's tough.
One is enough, and also it's just like we don't know what the fuck we're doing, right? Like we don't.
And you guys will figure it out, though. Nobody knows.
Yeah,
what
I mean
you're
that's
doing.
what everybody does. Like the truth is
figure it
nobody
out.
knows what's going on.
I know, like the sentiment is always everybody says that you'll figure it, but like I wouldn't. so like I'm glad that maybe I could like just hang with your baby every once in a while and be like, let
Pick
me
it
tell you
up.
about it, the Hyperlight Drifter.
Well,
Uncle Andy, you've talked about that hundreds of times.
Andy, supposedly all the kids do for the first year is sleep a lot and play Warzone at night. So you would be like,
shit.
this kid would be
Nice.
running your schedule.
nice.
But yeah, so we were really lucky, and it's not something I thought we would be, I don't know, experiencing, because we were so committed to making it happen that I was like, at the same time, I'm like, is this what helped it happen? Because I
Relieving the
was
pressure.
no longer hyper focused on conceiving, because I knew I had to rely on science now. That my body went like, I'm gonna make it happen now. So because you're not stressed out anymore.
Yeah.
And then it happened, and then holy fuck, you guys, nobody prepares you for the first couple fucking weeks. If anybody had told me how exhausted I would have been, think about the last day of any trade show when you're absolutely fucking finished and you do not want to be alive anymore. That is the first 12 weeks of your existence as a pregnant
12
person.
weeks.
It's
Oh my
awful.
God.
It's 10% battery. I super lucked out because I haven't thrown up a single time. I felt like I was seasick a couple times, but it sucked. Like Greg would find me in bed not wanting to be alive because you have no motivation to do anything. It's like the worst case of PAX East and like your raging depression at the same time. Just like
You're like,
together.
why did I go out last night? I should not have done that. That's not a good idea.
Well, the good news is once it comes out, then you have nothing to be responsible
Oh
for.
my
It's all good.
God.
Can I show that? Like that's just been a live look at Jen.
Oh my god!
I love how much
destroyed.
Amazing.
I love that you guys have developed that as a family unit of being like it's nothing's off limits when it comes to sleepy pictures.
I mean, when they're that good or that
That's
different. I mean, like
good.
it's been like I think for me, being on the other, not at the other side of this, but being in this process and then getting to see it through new lens, I guess. What has been so telling to me is that when we tell our friends, and now obviously the world, but when I was telling like friends and family, leading up till today, actually, if I told one of my female friends, they would always say congratulations, obviously, but if they had children, like before congratulations evenly, it would be, how is Jen feeling? What is going on? Da 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 da. Because I just don't think we're programmed to know. Nobody talks about it in terms of how
insane.
destroyed you are. Jen was going to bed at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and like needs to eat all the time.
And like all of the joints and bones in your body fucking come loose. Like you're sitting down one day and then you turn your body and then you get sciatica out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, am I 67 years old? Like, what's going on? And then you read online, no, it's because of a hormone called relaxin that just makes sure your fucking hips spread out to hold a baby in there, but it also affects all your bones in your body. So you're like, great, cool.
I think I was born with that.
It sounds like
hormone.
a fun hormone, relaxin. Like, yeah, get some relaxin in me. Like, no,
Kevin, I don't think you need any more of that hormone.
And there's just so much stuff that it's like, I don't know. Because I never wanted to have kids for the longest time, I never investigated the process or the medical impact of it. And it's everything. It's like your body's just, it's literally, you have a full-blown parasite. Like it's, if you don't eat enough calcium, it's going to eat your bones. And then if like you don't feed it the proper nutrients, it's just taking from you. And that's why I think it's hard to get pregnant, because your body and your uterus is usually like, fuck that. I don't want this to happen. So there's like a little tug of war there where your lining is like, not today.
I just picture Kevin like inside of in the womb being like, I'm gonna eat your bones if you don't give me calcium.
No, the thing with that is, I swear to God, Greg, that on some show, Game Over Greg's show, one of the earlier ones, I remember you talking about if you did have kids, it would probably be twins, and that one of the kids would kill the other in
Uterus.
in the
They
pregnancy.
do that.
Yeah.
They- like one.
That
can
might
There's
eat
no
the
evidence
other.
of that. There's no
There was
evidence.
no evidence, but
The
it is
small
Greg
Greg
Miller's
kid.
kid, so I'm not gonna.
Would we know?
No, if
We
it was
don't know
Greg
that.
Miller's kid, the ultrasound would have a little Dixie cup in it and a wardrobe that he's just like peeing behind that thing.
A lot of comments about that already. I'll tell you on
no
the
doubt.
Twitter today, and the congratulations of can't wait for you to deal
Yeah.
with your kid's piss drawer.
That child. But yeah, so it's like a bunch of physical side effects that you're like, cool, am I dying? And then you Google it and it's like, no, standard pregnancy
Totally normal.
symptom. You're like, you're fine. And then you join,
How is this normal?
right? You're like, I don't know if my bones should be doing this or.
I'm hungry, but the food makes me nauseous.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can't feed myself, but I feel like I'm gonna die if I don't eat anything right now. So it's been weird, and like there's a bunch of things like I don't know, I forget. Like there's gross shit like discharge all the time.
Everyone's favorite word.
That's
all
the
the
worst
fucking
word ever.
time. Like
It's the worst word
online,
ever.
they're like, maybe you should wear panty liners on the regular now because it's just a normal thing that's gonna happen to you very intensely for the next 9 months, and you're like, great,
That's cool.
that's really
really cool.
nice.
Fucking awesome.
Rad.
Yeah.
Rad.
Yeah. And I joke about it, and I have probably one of the easiest pregnancies. Like no complications.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
I mean, that
and-
was the problem with the first trimester, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like even now, like somebody was talking to me today about it. Oh, it was on Games Daily, I think a little bit. Somebody asked, and we were talking a bit about it. But it's like, you know, I'm not nervous to announce it. I'm excited to share it. But there is that thing that has been the first trimester beat into us of like, at any moment, the way we would talk about it, right, was like, this is really cool, it's happening, but like, don't get excited about it. Like, it could fail. We could have a miscarriage, and obviously, we still could have a miscarriage. We could have a million different complications, and so that's always that argument for some people of like, well, not talking about it at all, getting all the way to the finish line and announcing it, getting really really close to it, yada yada yada. And for me, it was such a thing. For us, I shouldn't say me, sorry. Such a thing of like, we want to be able to talk about it. And it's like that thing again, back to the very beginning of like, Jen at the restaurant after the infertility clinic, right? Of like, let's podcast about the right now if we were going to go down this IVF route and what we're doing and what it really costs and how it really is. And like, I feel like that's the same thing here, where if obviously, in God forbid, something goes wrong, but obviously there's still a lot of problems and hurdles in front of us, I would still want to talk about that. And podcast about it makes it sound weird, I think, because it's like, I want to podcast about it. It makes it sound like I want to make it into business, but like this, and I was doing the Cloud9 show with Alana and Khalif last night about therapy, and there was a conversation of like, I was the only person on the show that hasn't gone to therapy, and I'm never talking about anybody else's mental structure or whatever, but podcasting, and especially with you guys right now in this show, is so much to me about therapy, because it is that we come in and share stuff like that, and so I can't imagine that even if something went wrong now, or if we were trying to hide it and something had gone wrong, I would want to talk about that. And I mean, obviously within the bounds of our marriage and what we're comfortable with and things like that.
And it's such a difficult thing to like figure out, because it's such a personal thing of how you want to process your loss, or like the thought. I kept myself from getting excited for so long, because I'm like, I can't get attached. I can't start projecting further into time, because if something happens, I'm going to have to deal with loss. And I've never really had to deal with loss like significantly in my life. So it's a very recurring topic with my therapist. She's like, ooh, this is not going to go well when it happens. And so grief is not something I deal well with. And so talking about it and destigmatize, Jesus.
Destigmatizing.
Thanks.
It's the American pronunciation that gets you.
Is super important to me, but also it's like such a daunting thing of like, am I going to personally be able to manage that and deal with that? And I don't know how in the moment I'm going to react. And so I think it's what a lot of people deal with. And also like, it's weird. It's everything that has to do with women's health in general is downplayed. So like the fact that when you have a miscarriage, like you don't get time off, even though you go through a really intense medical procedure to get the remnants removed. Like you get a full, I think it's called a TNC, I forget. And then it's very intense, and it's emotionally challenging, and it's physically challenging, and then you're just supposed to go back to work and not talk about it, because that's what people are brought up to behave like or think like. And it's just very strange, because it's very isolated to people with uteruses. Like it's not something that men with no uteruses will ever experience. So it's weird. It's weird being on the other side of it, because not having known anything about it before, I would be like, probably part of the problem of like, I don't know why it's such a big deal, but it is a huge fucking deal. So yeah, anyway, it's
such a personal thing, you know what I mean? And that was the thing of, especially for us and how it is. Yeah, I think, it's funny. George in the chat here had gone through and said, I hope they tell the moment Greg told Jen. I'm sorry, I hope that's the other way around. I didn't tell you. I think you're pregnant. Jen told Greg.
Divined it.
We'll never will I forget. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like, Jen finally, Jen worked up the courage to go in there and take the test. And she came out of the bedroom while I was making coffee, and she was crying, and she was in the PSX shirt with the palm trees on it. Yeah, it was hot. And she was crying, and she walked over, and I was like, oh, so it's a no-go? And then she showed me the stick, and it was positive.
I was crying because I was petrified. I was like, oh, no. But I'm
It's
excited,
real now.
but also, it's happening.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean,
it was
that's
that
the thing is,
moment.
on top of all the physical stuff, it's so much emotional shit.
Yeah.
Whether it's a yes or a no, it's like so much for your poor body, Jen. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, and your
Yeah.
mind, like all
Yeah.
of it together. It's insane.
I had the most graphic night, because you're pumped up with
God.
hormones. I would have the most graphic nightmares, like full on
Oh, yeah.
Bloodborne style,
Oh,
like
shit.
gory fucking
gotta eat
Tell
the
Andy
three
about
and-
the worms. Tell
Oh
Andy
my
about the
God,
worms.
You
there
have to
was-
eat the 3 umbilical cords to fight the moon presence. Yeah.
There was one night
God, I hope that's real.
had a nightmare that I really had to blow my nose, and I started doing it, and only earthworms came out.
Oh,
Holy
that's horrifying.
And you know when you can feel everything in your dreams, right? You can
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
have like when
Oh
you
my
pull a really
God.
long booger and it feels like it touched
Ugh.
your brain. So that was that, but like moving around my sinuses,
Holy
and so
shit.
that's the kind of nightmares you get when you're pregnant.
I hope
Um,
Hidetaka Miyazaki is listening to this podcast, the creator of Dark Souls and Bloodborne.
The next
An
game is
inspiration.
special thanks, Jean-Philippe.
But yeah, and then also there's lots of deaths, like thoughts of death about my family, or
Sure.
like them being brutally hurt or injured, and it's like great.
And it's all like, we said earlier, but it is, the layer of COVID that was happening
Yeah.
at the same time. And so it is that, like that's been the most, I think, heartbreaking thing about this is, when we're trying and moving down this path, and you see it in the video that opened this video, right? Like for me, you daydream about how you would announce it to your family, right? And you go home and you do something with the boots or whatever, something you see on the TikToks all the time. And so for this one to be like, Jen cannot go home to her country, let alone, and then even though I'm in the same country as my family, I'm not going to go home and jeopardize them, right? Like it was that thing of, calling to tell my mom, calling to tell my dad, like obviously they're excited, but you can hear in both of
The
our voices how
twinge of,
bittersweet
like,
it is,
ugh,
right? Of like
yeah.
that you're just getting a phone call rather than
Yeah.
us surprising you and being there
Yeah.
and doing something.
I was terrified to tell my mom because I knew the second I was gonna hang up, she was just gonna
Fall apart.
process and be like, "Oh man, that is not how I envisioned this to happen,"
Yeah.
And I know she's the most excited person in the world to become a grandma. She instantly shared Greg's post, not even mine. She was like,
Your post was what? Like I had sex?
No, that was Twitter.
Oh, your Twitter post. Sorry.
And so it's weird because that's not how you anticipate things to go, and like, but at the same time, what are we
It's
gonna
life.
do?
Yeah, exactly. Like we're figuring it out. But it's like then on top of that too, like, like Jen's talking about that I never thought about, but makes perfect sense that the body, sees the baby as a parasite. So once you're actually pregnant, it shuts down its defenses, meaning it's shut down its defenses. And that's why
Oh yeah, you have
pregnant
no
women
immune
are
system. It's
like
great.
Jen will brush up
great
against something and
time.
break out in a rash because
Yeah.
there's just nothing there. The natural defense to shut that shit
Yeah,
down.
I use a depilatory cream on my legs to, the nair
Military, yeah,
shit.
to
Yeah.
get the hair off, yeah.
And I had a full blown rash. It
Yeah.
was great because my skin's like, whoa, I have no barrier
Can't deal
anymore.
with this.
Or
Yeah.
I kiss Porty and it's like, whoa, just red splatches everywhere. It's really,
Yeah,
really
Porty
nice.
probably one thing in the house to stay away from for the next few months. He's the closest thing to the ground in your household.
And yeah, so in regards to the pandemic, like COVID could kill me. So I got my shot. I mean, it kills everyone. It can kill anyone, not just me. But pregnancy is a huge risk. So I did get my shot a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Once we got into second trimester, they were okay with it.
yeah, exactly. My OB was like, and also like just constantly ask my doctor, do not go on the internet for advice. Like ask your healthcare professional. And he was like, yeah, you should totally be fine in second trimester. It's because the first trimester, like literally the organs are being 3D printed. And anything you
Cool.
do in the first trimester can permanently fuck up your child. So yeah, they were like second should be fine, and so I did that, and we'll find out if it comes out with 3
Superpowers.
arms.
Yeah.
If y'all do start this podcast, sponsored by the Trojan Pleasure Sleeve, or
Yeah,
like, there's
there
a
you go,
lot
there
of
you go.
opportunities.
A lot of opportunities. And
Yeah.
Andy, speaking of sponsors,
Oh my
let's hear from him right now. This episode of the Kinda Funny podcast is brought to you by MeUndies. Summer is coming, and for so many of us, it's the season of discomfort. It's hot out, and if you sit around in your underwear, you could, but you can't. MeUndies wants to make this summer the summer of comfort, and they want you to know that if you want to sit around in your underwear, that's absolutely allowed. Get comfortable and express yourself with summer undies in classic and bold colors and fun and adventurous prints. Ladies and gentlemen, MeUndies has supported Kinda Funny for a long time. Why? because they are fantastic. Both, of course, as a partner making the podcast you love, but more importantly, at making underwear. As you know, I only wear MeUndies. I bought one pair and I liked them so much, or one, a bag of them. I liked them so much, I bought more and threw away the rest of my underwear. I tell you what, I just moved, and guess what? It's time for me to order some new underwear, and I'm just going to order more MeUndies because MeUndies are amazing. They're soft. They come right to you. They got cool patterns. And if you want, you can sign up for the Undie membership. But I'm here to tell you about something different. It's called the MeUndies matching pairs. MeUndies makes it easy to match too. You can match your bottom half to your better half or halves. Yes, you can match your friends too. MeUndies helps you find matching pairs in a style and color or print of undies that's right for you and your boo. Because who doesn't love a secret twinning moment? MeUndies has a great offer for my listeners. For any first-time purchasers, you can get 15% off and free shipping. MeUndies also has their problem-free philosophy. If you're not satisfied with any product for any reason, they'll refund or exchange it. No caveats, no questions. To get 15% off your first order with free shipping, go to MeUndies.com/morning. That's MeUndies.com/morning. Andy's so good at the transitions to help me out because he knows he can see it in my eyes when I keep checking something. I'm like, how deep into this show are we?
Nobody said the F word in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's cursed it out.
Yeah.
Fornicate.
That's really how it gets there.
Yeah.
Fornicate.
Guess what? Tim, Nick, Andy, and Kevin. Kale Dolphincorn has written in to patreon.com/kindafunny with questions. Yeah, I want to say game so bad. With questions for you. Not questions, advice. I have some advice for Tim, Nick, Andy, and Kinda Funny's own Kevin. As a former fun uncle, now a fun aunt, the best advice I can give for getting a kid to love you is to just be there for them. If they want to talk to you or speak to them as if they are your peer and just have fun with them. Give them advice. Help them if they need it and show them love as if you were their parent. The bonus is you don't have to change the diaper. I'm so happy for you, Greg and Jen, and I wish you all the best raising the youngest Ghostbusters fan, Kale. Thank you, Kale.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kel.
Nick,
I love it.
Nick, I walk over, I knock on the door, I drop the baby at your house. What's happening?
Oh, baby's coming right in to watch Uncle Nick fucking click heads in Warzone. Is that okay? That seems fine, right? It's a video game. It's totally fine for a child to see that little.
You can rotate it, away from it. It's not looking at the screen the whole time.
I mean,
Get the baby
there.
prepared for early
there.
on. You're gonna look at really high frame rate, 144 hertz.
No, we're not.
action.
No, we're just the baby can look at PS5. All right,
This
That's
kid
what he
is
can look
not
at.
messing around with 60
Well,
hertz, bro.
look,
This is
here's the thing, Greg.
144 hertz world.
Yeah, they'll have you get them primed on 144 on hertz on PC, so that way when it comes to the PS7 or whatever,
Sure,
they're ready.
I like that. I like that. Tim, how are you gonna be babysitting for us, huh?
I'm very happy I have Gia. Very, very happy. But I'm also very happy that my house has me, Gia, and Cool Greg. And I think that is going to be the best thing. Cool Greg having to deal with anything is hilarious to watch. But with the baby, it's like this sounds like a lot of fun. Me and Greg Miller and Jen's baby, I can't fucking wait. It is going to be very similar to my relationship with Porty, where I'm just like, he's the homie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I see him as such an equal. And it's like, that's the weird thing. There are dogs that like transcend. And Porty is one of the few that transcended where it's just like, what's up, bruh? You know what I mean? Like he walks in the room and I'm just like, okay, cool. This is our room now.
equals,
Yeah, we're equals. What do you want to do? And it's like that's what's cool. But the thing is, when it's just a little like freaking
Bean.
thing that doesn't do shit, it's like, okay, cool, year one, whatever. But once the thing starts talking, that's when I'm real excited because you are clearly gonna know who he learned certain things from, certain words, and that is what I'm most excited about.
I'm excited to see.
Kid's gonna come over and be like, "Mom, what's a choochie?" And I'm like,
I'm excited to see if he talks like Greg, which means he's gonna just integrate the information that you need to yell to be understood or scream all the time. And I'm a very quiet person, so we're gonna know instantly. And I think he's gonna scream a lot.
You're gonna be a podcaster, son.
Oh yeah, totally. Or just I hate it, and I'm gonna go into NPR. You know what I mean? Sit over there. And, hey, everybody, this is NPR.
well, that's always the weird thing, right? That's always the question you have: is the kid going to be take after either of you, have your interests, or is he going to completely just go off the?
He's gonna be a tax auditor.
Or I always think. Of course, if I had a kid, I'd want that kid to be into the same things I have. Was into music, theater, all of a sudden, my luck, the kid would be like this: it's football or nothing, Dad.
Yeah.
You have to watch football the rest of your life, and I'd be like, oh, this sucks.
You would
but
be
okay,
such a
I
big
support you.
fan. You kidding me?
Of the kids'
Yeah,
team.
no, that's the thing. Nick, look how much fun you had with FCF. You'd get into it.
That's true. That's true. I guess if you have someone to root for, it kind of changes the dynamic of it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's the the interesting thing to be on the precipice of about when we've talked about, and I mean us, talked about having kids in this podcast or talked about it in general. Yeah, there's always that thing of, will the fact that like they're surrounded by every comic book they could want, every game they could ever want, like is it just gonna not be cool to them? And then they are into something totally that we're not into. And not that I'm against that. I want them to be into whatever they're into. But obviously, I always talk about like I want that moment of having the two screens side by side and we're playing through Outriders 3 or whatever the hell it is together and stuff like that.
Well, the thing about kids is like, even when we look back through time, it's just like, I'm sure these conversations have always been had in some way, but
Sure.
it's like to think about us and our parents and like anyone we know and their parents. It's like the best laid plans thing is like such a silly way to even look at
Totally.
it, because it's like the world just changes so much. So it's like
Yeah.
the idea that these kids might be into superheroes and Ghostbusters and stuff. It's like, yeah, they
better be
totally
the
might.
Ghostbusters.
Or it might be something that there's gonna be something new, like
Oh, of
Pokemon
course.
wasn't around when you guys were growing up, but
Cobra
to me
Kai.
and Andy, it meant something. And of course, there's Cobra Kai and all that. But it's even just things like, we always talk about kids and screen time, and we're always so like baffled. Like, I can't believe there are like 12-year-olds or like 6-year-olds with cell phones or whatever. And it's like, well, I was a 12-year-old with a cell phone, but Nick wasn't. Like, your generation wasn't. And it's like, at what point that just keeps changing, but it's going to be
Cell phones till I was
normal
37.
for everybody.
Yeah, of
exactly.
course.
I can't believe
and I
these
think
kids
it's all
are
about
on TikTok doing like, these teenagers just doing like these really overly sexual things. Like, well, when I was a kid, I was pushing and getting pushed by my friends in a shopping cart trying to do jackass stunts. Like,
100%.
we're
yeah.
fucking idiots. Like,
I love to find
every
out
generation
what
has their
your-
dumb thing.
What Andy's For You page looks like.
Oh my! It's gotten way less horny in the last couple of weeks. It's a lot of Marvel. It's a lot of a lot of politics as well. But for a while, there's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, this is
look at this
is
ass.
so horny. Like all of it. Anyway,
Sure, fair, yeah. I'm with you on that, and I think especially with our peers who have children, the fact that they've raised them to be into stuff they're into their own things, but oftentimes that leads into video games, and especially as games have become mainstream and everything else. I always pointed out, I wanted to tell them ahead of time, but I waited till today. But as soon as it went live today, I immediately messaged Blair Herder, Jessica Chobot's husband, and they've raised Emerson to be like such a cool kid, and he loves video games and stuff like that. And I feel like that's kind of
WWE.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of the blueprint in terms of like turning them onto it, which leads us to a question from Madeline. Madeline writes into patreon.com/kindafunny and says, big congrats to you, Greg and Jen. You're going to be the best parents. Question: what is the game or gaming experience that you are most excited to re-experience again with your kid?
Katamari.
Katamari?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right. I like that a lot.
That is
yeah.
such a Jen answer. I love that.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. For me, it's not a specific like thing I can say now, but it's that Christmas morning of getting that thing you've been wanting for
kid
so
wanted,
long.
yeah.
The tearing open the Nintendo thing. For me, I always talk about it. My parents did the N64, like the Red Ryder BB gun, where they like hit it, and then I opened all my presents, and then they sent me downstairs, and on the way back up, that's where I saw it. Like cool shit like that. You know what I mean? Of like, and definitely them finding their own
So
groove and
psychological
finding games.
warfare.
Well, no, but I mean, like that's a
I'm
cherished
joking.
memory, right?
I'm
I
teasing.
know,
Hype.
right? The hype,
Start 'em
yeah.
young.
Sorry, I thought you were saying something else. Yeah, like
that's
for
my
sure.
that's my thing. Like I as you guys know, me and Snowbike Mike have been watching a lot of 80s movies, and it's like having a fully grown child. He's never experienced any of these things. So watching him watch Point Break, that's what I would want to do, is like wait for the kid to get of age. We're like, I'm going to introduce you to a man named Arnold Schwarzenegger. You will love him. You will never, ever, ever be able to spell his last name correctly. Let's go.
Yeah,
And just
we were
start.
talking about that while we were doing the MCU rewatch of like how incredible, if they're interested, is that going
And
to be?
they will be.
Mm.
I mean,
There's
yeah.
obviously like they have like the thing will break my heart is if I can't get them into Ghostbusters. And I don't think I have
be
to worry.
so tough, Greg.
But I
It's
don't think I
gonna be so
have to
tough.
worry. I don't think I have to worry because they already have all the toys. We have all the Playmobil toys for them. Remember that we got years ago from Playmobil. And like again, think about it. It doesn't really matter. They're gonna be born in October We're gonna have the photo. This kid can't stop me from putting him in a little Slimer outfit, a little Stay Puft outfit. We're both dressed as Ghostbusters. That's the Christmas card, everybody. That's the fucking Christmas card.
But the difference is like, is it going to mean something to him?
Yeah, I know.
I'm sure Superman or Batman will mean
so.
because it's more. There's still those good stories being told with those characters.
Totally, I know.
I think that there are certain things though that like whether or not it turns into their favorite thing in the world. When your parents, who when you are a little kid growing up, are your favorite people, when they have a favorite thing, you think it's cool to like that.
Yeah.
So it's like you have a kind of jump off point there. I mean, like Star Wars is probably the most obvious answer, and I think that there's a reason it's such a shared experience with people. But it's like my dad loving Star Wars and showing me the VHS tapes, like having that be a moment, like that always felt special to me. And I am where I'm at now because he told me it was special to him. You know what I mean? So it's like that kind of grew from there. I don't know if you guys saw a couple days ago, there's a video going viral that absolutely slays me, and I like can't even think about it without crying because of the subject matter. But there is someone recorded their dad,
their father,
their father who has some form of not dementia, but something like dementia.
They call it it's not he has amnesia. He has a very specific type of amnesia. Yeah.
Where he doesn't have memory before a certain part, just like doesn't know who he is, and they've been trying to like rehabilitate him. It's been really hard, and they showed him Star Wars was his favorite thing in the world, and they watched the original trilogy and recorded his reaction to Vader being Luke's father, and he's just flabbergasted, and he's just like he's like no, and he's just like wait really, and he like stands up and he's freaking out about it, and it's just like so amazing that like. Can you imagine that? Like, it's just it's wild. It's so.
And that's the thing. I think when you talk about kids and like, obviously, like when Halloween comes around and I want to dress up, whatever they want to dress up as, awesome.
Sure.
But I do see that thing being especially for like if Jen's gonna be dressing up in a Ghostbuster outfit too, like they'll be into it on that level. You know what I mean? For a little bit, like Nick, you say
they're not gonna start hating that shit until like teenagers.
Yeah, totally.
Like if my dad didn't listen to Rush and have Rush DVD or VHS tapes on, or if my dad didn't watch sci-fi shit, like I thought that shit was cool too growing up, and I still do. So like I think a good parent and a parent who is always willing to listen to their kids, the kids will just kind of naturally be into whatever the parents are into and think that shit's cool. Now, if they're an asshole about it, I have a couple of friends that are like, I fucking hate the Dallas Cowboys because my dad was a fucking asshole during the Cowboys games. And he would be like, get the fuck out of here. The fucking Cowboys lose. So he's like, that's why I hate the Cowboys. But for me, it was my dad with the Rush VHSs on and me with cereal boxes and pots and pans pretending to have the drum set. Like I think it's just like a shared thing that you'd have.
Yeah, for a while I had literally a shiver go through me today thinking about this kid, because for a while what I've been saying is
I was gonna say, did you have to
no, I didn't get a chill. I didn't get a chill. But it was that I've been making the joke to Jen for a long time now, like, listen, this kid can go to any college they want, but if they go to Mizzou, I'll pay for it. But then I had the thing of if I push Mizzou too hard, they go to the Kansas thing and they just be pissy to me.
Right.
I can't do it.
That is so something we all have to remember to remind this kid.
No, Nick, you should not remind them
when
of
they
that.
hit around 16 years old. Hey, your pop really hates Kansas. It'd be hilarious if you went to KU. Hilarious.
Nick, please call me Pop. Please, please refer to me solely as Pop to this.
That is a question though, because what are you gonna push the kid to call you both? Because for me, it was always mom and dad.
Yeah.
But now my dad is older, I call him Pop.
I mean, we have the language situation to navigate.
Which I'd like to bring in a question, if you don't mind. A lot of people have been asking this in the chat live, but I have a question here from the one and only TJ Draper, who writes in and says, "Hey, Greg and Jen, first off, congrats. My question is, what language do you plan to speak at home to your child? My wife is a native French speaker, and I know she would rather die than have a non-native speaking child, which we have no plans for right now. I don't know if the child are dying. Is Greg allowed to speak English, or does he have some learning to do?"
So we have a couple of friends who are in the same situation. They're in Montreal, and the mom's British and the dad's French Canadian. John and Carly, hi. And the way
no way they're watching.
No.
Like,
the way that they're navigating this is Carly, who's British, only speaks English
Mhm.
to the kid who's like now over a year old. And John only speaks French to him. So whenever like the child points at their feet, the mom's like, "That's your foot," and the dad's like, "C'est ton pied." So like they just repeat in both languages, and the kid instantly gets it. And
Yeah,
so
they're like sponges at that age.
they're
Right?
sponges, and languages don't matter at this age. They just connect the dots. And so it's funny because she said if she tries to speak French to him, he's gonna think it's weird. And so if John speaks English, the child's gonna be like, "What are you doing? Like, you usually speak French to me." But they managed to do that. And I think it's super important to me because my parents and my family obviously much more francophone than anglophone. So like I want them to be able to have a relationship and speak French together. I have cousins who were born and raised in Australia from an uncle who's French Canadian, and their French is amazing. And so it's just practicing at home.
Yeah.
Why?
Sorry, I looked at the chat. Mike L. Bone eating sponges.
So it's just like committing to the bit, right? And like continuing to speak both languages at home. And the challenge is that they're not immersed in French here. So maybe we send them to French school.
I think it'll help them, and I think it'll help me because obviously
Yeah.
that's the thing is like when I go and I use the app to learn when I'm using Babbel.
Babbel,
The
yes.
Babbel app. When I'm using it and I get it and I like it, and then we put it down and I forget it off. I don't go back to it. And it's the same way when we go back to Quebec, or we could go back to Quebec and hang out with your family and friends, right? Where it's like by the third day of being immersed, I'm not speaking it well or
But you
anything,
understand.
but I'm there and I can do a few things. But then we go away for 8 months, 9 months, and I come back and it's the whole like
18 now.
yeah, 18 now. To getting back to it or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be an effort, but like it's so important to me and my family that I think it's going to be a no-brainer. And then you're going to speak
Baby
toddler French.
But that's all you need. That's what I mean. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I can do it.
Yeah.
I'll be all right. Ryan Powala Higgins writes into patreon.com/kindafunny, just like you can. It says, "Hey everyone, congratulations to Greg and Jen. I am lucky enough to be a father of 3, and my best advice for you both is enjoy the moment. I know this sounds obvious, but it can be easily forgotten with all the stress that pregnancy and being new parents brings. I look at my eldest son, who is now 10, and realize they grow up so quickly. Obviously, the birth is a very private matter between the both of you. 2 of my children were born in a hospital, but my youngest son was born at home in a birth pool. I know this sounds great, and honestly it was, until after my son was born and the midwife left, and I came to the quick realization that the pool needed draining and cleaning. My final piece of advice is that childbirth is not what it looks like in the movies, and have someone else clean up. Much love to you guys."
Oh my God, Ryan, thank you so much because I mean, going through a non-complicated pregnancy right now, I'm like, I could totally, knock on wood, I could totally give birth at home and it sounds great because also it's COVID and then I don't want to get sick in the hospital and die for whatever reason or get like one of my biggest fears is to in the middle of excruciating pain in my lower half body just staring from clit to butthole is to lose the capacity to speak English because my brain, like my lizard brain is French. And so if I start just losing my marbles, like how do I communicate that I don't want a C-section, because if something I can avoid.
No. Now, I'm going to throw a couple things out here. First off, now I have 4 things that I'm visualizing. That last one. But if you go to a hospital because you are having a Halloween baby, this gives Greg the awesome opportunity to dress as a doctor and go and administer pills to people in the hospital.
Ghostbuster.
I thought you were gonna be
We're
Watto.
starting as
Very
early
illegal.
as possible.
The kid comes out. The kid comes out and as they take this beautiful child and they wrap it. They swat it all up and they go to hand it to Jen. And Greg's like, "Hold on one second, little mini proton pack that goes on it, little neutrino one." I'm like, "Let's take this picture. Get this kid started off right."
But to Ryan's
Doctor.
point, like everything goes apparently when you give birth. So it's like you poop yourself and you just tear and
They
you
tighten
just
all that stuff up
bleed
though.
and-
They sew that stuff up. It's like better than new.
Yeah, but like the pool sounded cool to me, but now it's definitely not an option anymore.
No, let someone
Kevin,
else
can,
clean that
Kevin,
shit
can we
up.
use your hot tub?
Wouldn't the pool also just catch all of that and like
Yeah, but you
know?
got to drain it. It's still gonna have
No, but what I'm saying is
on the
like you're gonna be
sides.
sitting in like because
Oh, you're in a pool
you know,
of your own
if you shit
afterbirth.
yourself,
Yeah,
I mean they clean it. They'll clean it off, right? But if you're in a pool,
they'll spray. They can bring a hose
they're
and they
not
hose it down
filtering
a
that
little bit.
water in. They're not filtering that water. You know what I'm
Do it
saying?
in a wave pool.
Jesus Christ.
Just strapped to a boogie board.
Can you imagine you're there? You're at raging waters, and you're like, "What is happening? Oh no!"
There's other people in the wave water.
There's 30 other people.
This was
We
supposed to be a
forgot the
lazy
book of
river.
this out.
But yeah, so let's
That's what the
consider.
second fee was.
And I still refuse to watch birthing videos.
Don't do
to
it.
this point.
There's no need to.
Don't do
Yeah.
it. Don't do it. You know what I mean?
It's
happening I know.
regardless.
Seems smart.
Our doctor said there's not one single birthing that's the same, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's just I don't
that's
want
good.
to.
You
gotta watch 'em all.
Sweet
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Jesus Christ, Tim.
I got another one here from Madeline that I like. Big congrats to you, Greg and Jen. You're going to be the best parents. Question: what will be the first video game related purchase for your little one? If you've already bought something, what is it? I've, of course, like I don't count the Playmobil stuff. Of course, remember when Playmobil sent me doubles of all the Ghostbusters toys, so I could open some for myself and save them for my unconceived unborn children,
child.
which is
You
now
are a
paid
man
off.
child.
It's there for you. But the other one was, I think, the first video game related thing I bought for this kid, even before we knew it was gonna, you know, before this was happening, was I got the God of War B is for Boy book, which is like the little picture book for
right.
God of War. I'm excited for that one day. That'll be a fun one.
I don't know about me. I feel like you got this covered.
I got. Don't worry about it. You keep buying stuff to keep them alive. I will
bought,
keep buying
like,
the crap that they'll enjoy to play
a
with.
dehumidifier. That's the kind of purchase I'm making right now.
Yeah, that's where we're at right
This
now.
place is dry.
we got a dry place. But yeah, that's the
Yeah.
17-week update
Yeah.
and the announcement and all that jazz, which
The
is
size
exciting.
of the onion this week.
Size of an onion right now, yeah. No
Mm.
bigger than
Bigger
an
than an
onion.
onion.
Yeah. Oh, dude, if it ever gets to pumpkin, I'm flipping out.
Oh, God.
Dr. Watto will be out on everywhere.
I hope it'll be out by that point because
I mean,
it's
pumpkins
usually
are
like a
like pretty
pumpkin.
fucking big.
Yeah, pumpkins are. They don't make.
Dude,
that-
there's all
even-
sizes
even
of
a
pumpkin.
small
What do you think
pumpkin,
the
I wanna
general
push
pumpkin
that out.
is?
Yeah.
Also, pumpkin's very hard,
Very
not squishy at all.
hard.
Well, dude, her stomach is hard.
It's so
She
weird.
she's like, poke it harder. I'm like, no, I'm not poking it harder.
No.
And that's the other thing. Like we
It's
we
brain.
jumped around a whole bunch of this, like talking about like how your body feels. Your body. Well, you talked about your tits too, but your body changes.
Judy's.
Like where there's like like yesterday, you looked so pregnant.
Yeah.
You know what
6
I mean?
months.
Yeah, 5 more months. Yeah.
It's weird. It's very strange. Also, at some point, my nipples were made of glass,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't
I
like
can
you
relate.
can't like you can't touch anything.
No,
It's
but
just really-
yours is like for excitement in Marvel movies.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
Yeah.
Mia was shards of glass, like just pain. pure
Oh, I
pain.
thought you meant they were so hard you could cut
Oh,
into your
no,
neighbor's
no,
windows,
no,
break
it's
in
like,
the little, the
uh,
circle, pop
yeah.
out, break it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
That's
just shards.
suction
It's
cup
just
full of
filled
glass.
with shards of glass. And then what else? I mean, yeah, right now my uterus is growing and pushing all my organs in different areas at random.
At a certain point, the kid kicks those too. So just
Yeah.
be aware that's going to be something that
Yeah.
happens.
technically should start feeling movement next week.
Wild.
Whoa.
It's very strange.
Yes, Nick, you can come over and touch it. You don't even have to answer the question.
That was not the question, but that was a follow up question. So thank you. Good getting ahead of that. Here's what I'm going to say. For the longest time, and kind of funny, we've had this idea. I would say it's a far off notion, more like a dream, right?
Open
Where
door
all of us have one shared costume. Now, as you guys know, Kevin screwed me out of the cat costumes a couple years ago. I show up, no one else is dressed. I show up to your house, no one else
Didn't
dresses
work out,
cats.
Nick.
He screwed me out of it. Can we please, for this kid's first Halloween, and forever, just do the big? Because imagine your child growing up, coming to the Kind of Funny studio in costume, and everyone is dressed as X-Men, and they're just like a little mini whatever they want to dress as.
Sure.
That
Hope.
could just be
Maybe
really cool.
Hope.
Who's Hope?
No, we got to do
Cyclops.
Wolverine,
Jeez.
dude.
Cyclops' kid, but like she gets taken.
I-
by
I
No,
jumped
we're
to
not doing.
Nightcrawler.
We're not
doing
going
Gen
into.
2.
We're not
doing
going
Gen
into
2
like,
shit.
all right, well, did you read the Bendis run? Well, this is
No,
that.
like,
Like, we're not
you
doing
know what?
that.
No,
Because
you
of
don't.
that
You don't
terrible-
want. You don't want the baby to be like the baby person in the comic. It has to be just like a baby version of
Magneto.
Beast
Professor
or-
X.
Yes.
In the stroller,
Yes.
in the
Stroller.
wheelchair, bald, love
Well,
it.
pretty good.
who
It's
knows?
pretty good.
Knowing Greg, Nick, knowing Greg, this fucking baby's gonna have the thickest head of hair of all time. Like
Fucking
at
kids.
age-
Fucking kid's gonna come out
3
with
months.
hair perfectly swooshed, a little bit of gray, light gray, and I look at it, it just winks at me like I know. I know.
First class Professor X.
There you go. Yeah, little James McAvoy.
McAvoy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this has been the Kind of Funny podcast. It's not quite over yet. Of course, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny. We're going to do a post show and hang out a little bit while longer. Of course, over on patreon.com/kindoffunny, you can ask us questions. You can get the show ad free, and you can get it with the post show I just mentioned. However, if you didn't know, this has been the Kind of Funny podcast. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Good job. Each bringing the bullshit in their lives they want to bullshit about. Today, it was my child. There will be much more child content, I'm sure, on Kind of Funny now throughout the years and months and
We could
everything
do
else.
a reenactment of the birth.
What about the conception?
I'd tune in for that.
If you don't want to go to patreon.com/kindoffunny to catch the post show we're about to do, we understand. Remember, you can get all the shows for free at youtube.com/kindoffunny podcast services around the globe. I don't know why I said that about the post show. The post show is only available on Patreon. The rest of the shows are over on the other places. They have ads and everything else. Before we go to the Patreon post show, however, we do. Well, first off, thank you, Jen, for being on the show. Coming in.
No problem.
Is it time for nap?
Oh my god, I'm so tired.
Before we get into the
Jen,
post show,
nap.
for everybody watching, there is one other video we want to show you, a different reaction video to the announcement.
Kevin Rowe.
We are celebrating the 6th anniversary of Austin Creed's Up, Up, Down, Down. Let's get hype, everyone. Woo!
Yay! You couldn't be more wrong. That was the lie I told all of you to get your cameras on. I'm here to tell you that Jen's pregnant and I'm going to be a father.
See, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Congrats. Yeah.
I didn't, it's, you know,
He's lying.
I took a picture. I typed that out and I took a picture.
Shit, Miller.
I figured I wanted it on camera and I wanted you all here because, of course, you're my family. And so, you know, there's a lot happening, obviously, that all the appointments I've been leaving for are not for us moving. There's a lot of other things I've been doing. And obviously, I don't like lying to you or even fibbing a little bit about it, other than the things for content
I woke up
like
for this.
Yeah, you woke up for this, Andy. I'm sorry. So yeah. The idea was I figure like so for right now in our time.
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh!
I love you, dude.
This is
Congrats.
wild.
This is
I love
fucking
you guys.
awesome.
So crazy.
Congratulations to both of you.
Congratulations.
That's bad.
This is freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Hell
All right,
yeah.
So let's get to the real show.
Daddy time. You're gonna be a daddy, and now you're gonna be so happy because once you see this child, everything in your life changes completely. Like people tell you this, and I got told it a bunch of times. But you can't like really feel that emotion or even begin to like comprehend what that emotion feels like because you don't know that's inside of you. But like once you see them, it's like I don't know, like something clicks and you're like everything that I thought that I was doing and the reasons behind my main motivations and all of that stuff, your drive, all of that, it goes away and is completely like transferred into this tiny human. It's like, no, everything that I'm doing is now for you. So I cannot wait for you guys to feel that. It's yeah. Dang. Kid's gonna have it good, man. Kid's gonna have it good. Love you guys. It's awesome.